Hello, everyone, and welcome. I am so happy to be back with another episode of Heroes of the Land. Sorry I haven't been posting lately. It's just that about 2.5 months ago, I got sick pretty bad and it took me a little time to recover. But I am back and better now. As we all know, whenever you open a new business, start a new project, you'll bump into some struggles along the way. But that's okay, you fight through it, you don't give up, and you keep on growing. Ellie and Abby Sapir, the farmers I sat with today, had all the struggles and challenges you could possibly think of fall at them at once as they were starting their business, Chavat Yair. But none of that stopped them. We're talking COVID, they just have twins. It was only a year and a half before Shmita, and they're starting a farm. Not only that, an organic farm, which is so much harder than any other thing you could grow. But none of that stopped them. Join along as I sit with them to hear about their incredible life story, Shmita, and so much more. This episode is brought to you by Karen Hashvias. We will hear more about them later in this video. But now, let's get to it. I'm Yisrael Yudkowsky. You are listening to Foundations Podcast.
I grew up in Ann Arbor, Michigan. Very good place to grow up. Grew up in a modern Orthodox family. And after high school, I came to Israel on a Young Judea program called Year Course. And it was volunteering and learning. And I started to have a real, more personal connection with the Torah and with mitzvot, and especially the mitzvot pertaining to the land. And I felt that I was you say when you walk the land of Israel, you're inheriting the land of Israel. So I felt like I was really inheriting the land of Israel, and I was inheriting the Torah. And it just gave me a push to be who I am and be a stronger Jew and a stronger person. That was the year I started to be in Israel and hike and walk around and really see the nature and really meet the people. And that was a turning point for me because I really, at that point and the year after, I kind of really had a better sense of what it meant to be Jewish and what it meant to be a Jew living in Israel. And so at that point, it was also Shmita, and I wanted to do some agriculture, but it didn't really work out. We were on a kibbutz, and I was washing dishes in the Chadar Ochel, and very little bit on the ground. And so I went back to America. I did a year of university, and I ended up coming back to Israel, to work on a farm called Chava Ve'adam, ecological farm. And there I was studying permaculture, which I'll talk more about later. And there I also got to know Abby.
Yeah, that was the year.
We actually had met very briefly, too, at a music festival the summer before in Tennessee. And we met just for a second. I did Kiddush for her on Friday night. Said, anyone want to hear Kiddush?
Magical.
Abby came up. We met, but didn't see each other after that. And then randomly, through friends, met again here in Israel. And this was about 10 years ago, 12 years ago?
More, yeah.
12 years ago now?
Yeah.
Abby was here in B'Tzalel doing art in art school. Mm-hmm. And really from there, it was kind of the dream started to get formed of how we wanted to live our lives, what our connection to the world, what our connection to the earth was. I came here really wanting to learn just to be self-sustaining and to be on a self-sustaining farm, grow our own food, grow our own medicine. And a little bit, at that point, I kind of realized a little bit that there's no such thing as really self-sustaining because you're always in contact with other people and other farms, and you can do a lot and it's great. But started to think more. That made me think more about the community and how you needed to bring other people in, and everyone had a different space to do, which is a very a concept also in permaculture and in Judaism, that everyone has a tafkid and everyone has a niche. And so we met that year, and for different reasons, we ended up going back to America. We got married in America. We finished university, both of us, in Chicago. And the dream the whole time was to come back to Israel and to live on the land and to be connected, because that's
To our agricultural roots.
yeah, to our agricultural roots. We kind of saw there during that time. I kind of realized that Judaism was very connected to agriculture, to the agricultural holidays. We know that all of our holidays are connected to agricultural events. Shavuot is connected to the wheat harvest. Hanukkah is connected to the olive harvest. There's the Bikurim. There's the dates on Sukkot. And so we kind of just realized that the agricultural, and especially agricultural in Israel, was at the very base of our tradition.
And spirituality.
Yeah. So the dream was to come back. And thankfully, during one time I said, Abby, I'm going to buy the tickets. We're not waiting for a pilot trip. We're going to go on a pilot trip and that. And it's, we were just finished college. And I said, we're just going to go on a pilot trip. And
we just bought a one-way ticket, basically.
Wow.
Yeah.
Without having plans, just we're going and we'll make it happen.
We basically bought a one-way ticket, and we knew that even if you go to Israel for a month, that's only 4 Shabbases, like to go check out different places, and you can't really see what a place is like until you go for Shabbos.
You can't connect.
Yeah, it's like to really see what it's like. So we knew that, okay, like this is like a pilot trip / maybe we'll end up staying there. We don't know how long it's going to take or what we want to do. So we lived with our cousin for a bit, and we then, surprisingly, we found this guy who we met, had some mutual friends. He was starting, he just got a piece of land. And he said, if you could live on a piece of land, what would you live in? What structure would you live in? And, we knew the answer. Maybe we'd live in a dome, a yurt, and how would we build it? And so he said, if you could build your own structure, then you could come live on this land. So that's what we did. We lived in a geodesic dome for a year. It's actually now posted up on our farm. And
this is here in the area? This
was in Stay True.
Near Beit Shan.
Yeah, near Beit Shan. There's a land called Stay True. It's Svi Rosenberg's land. And we started planting trees there and some herbs and kind of just lived there for a year. And it was really beautiful. We got to sleep under the stars. And also, at times it was not as beautiful. We had to patch up patches for the rain and stuff got ruined, but it was such a great experience. And that was actually our first time keeping Shmita, but it wasn't our land, and it was different. We weren't really growing all our own food. We were just kind of starting off and figuring out where we are in this country, making Aliyah. The whole process is quite the mission. But so that was the start of really our, not really the start, but that was when we really started laying some roots and foundation of within ourselves, how do we want to live, and how do we want to connect with the land and nature.
Yeah. So. It was a good experience. We were very eager, we just went there first with the tent and, just said, okay, let's get to work. Let's work on this project. And
we were so eager. We so much passion that we need to express.
Just kind of almost happened on its own. It was just.
It was Hashgacha Pratis.
Yeah.
For sure. Just kind of met this guy, met him randomly in an apartment. We had heard about him before, how he wanted to start something. And we learned a lot. We kind of really didn't take care of ourselves as much, that year, kind of focused on the project more than building our own.
But it was all part of it,
It sounds like also when it came the whole agriculture and what the future, you had everything figured out. Even before you came, it sounds like you knew what you wanted.
In a way, we don't have anything figured out, but we have figured out that we know, we definitely had our values figured out. We knew how we wanted to live and what was important to us, and that everything is, a spiritual thing for us. And, we know we want to live in a world where the veil is lifted and we can really search for truth. So that was all figured out. But the how and the what and the where, Still we're figuring that out because right now we're renting this piece of land and we don't know how long we're going to be here for. But, actually before this, we were in Svat for 3 years and I was doing an internship, like a glass blowing internship there. I'm an artist. I used to do ceramics and glass blowing. Right now I'm just painting. We have 3 kids, so
I wouldn't say just painting. These are really beautiful paintings.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I mean that's what I'm focusing on, painting and teaching and stuff. But in Svat, we went through many spiritual transformations, and Ellie kept saying for years, I just want to grow food. I want to grow food, and it's such a mystical city, and so are all the cities here in Jerusalem. But it's hard to find ourselves in the city. We knew we had to just get mud on us.
Connect to the land.
Yeah.
It was a crazy time. We were kind of back and forth from the farm in Svat for half a year.
Yeah, that was interesting.
And that was also tough because it was during Shmita. We didn't want to farm. I didn't want to work on a different, something else that was connected to agriculture. And because I really wanted to do the mitzvah, and we didn't know what to do. We didn't have any other business, and so we went to Tzfat. Tzfat was kind of it was a great healing experience for us.
Yeah.
Tzfat was a very healing city.
Transition.
They said Tzfat either sucks you in or spits you out, and it definitely sucked us in
for 3 years.
For 3 years.
Yeah, and then we came straight here, and at first Ellie was working on another farm, and I was kind of just laying more roots with my art and doing ketubot and trying to get very serious about business. And he actually started. The reason why we came to this because he went to the agricultural school in Rehovot, but it turns out it wasn't for him, and for whatever reason we landed here in this Israeli moshav, a beautiful moshav. And then Ellie was working for another farmer, Ben's farm. He's an organic farmer in Tirosh. And, we must be a little bit crazy. We were definitely crazy, I'll tell you that for sure, because we had twins. And then we started a farm and it was COVID, all in one. And it was just really intense and a lot. But, we're just people who, we dream big and then we dream bigger. And it's sometimes, it could be our greatest downfall because we reach for the stars, and we reach for things that are impossible. It's so easy to get stuck on the how, but we really work on not getting stuck on that and surrendering, and as much as it's our greatest downfall, because there's a lot of failure and stuff, we really look at all these failures and challenges as opportunities for growth. And so really I think it's our greatest height, dreaming big, and there's been so much support and love, and finally I think for the first time in our lives we have full support because we're such passionate people and we have so many different ideas that sometimes you can get pulled in so many different directions. So when you said you got to figure it out, it's we're still figuring it out and trying to hone in because we're pulled in so many directions. We want to do a lot of big things. So but really for the first time in our life we feel focused and empowered, and we're in the right direction,
Yeah.
What is it about the earth and the land? Obviously here in Eretz Yisrael, it's Eretz HaKodesh, the Holy Land. So what is it you feel that pulls you and connects you to it on such a high level?
So I think what it is that, Reb Shlomo has a quote that when you walk out into a forest, you get this feeling of freshness. Everything is new. Everything is after creation, just after creation. When you splash water on your face, when you see a baby, you get the sense of wow, this was what the world was like before it was touched. And that was my first exposure to it. And I started to see Hashem in a really big way, in the growth and just watching growth and realizing that me, myself, and everyone else around us, we're all on this journey of growth, of being a seed, of being a small plant, a small sapling, a larger tree, to having fruit of our own. And that's our connection to growing and growing food too, is that you really can engage of this process of growth. And that's like what we're really doing here in this world too, is like we're getting deep. It's what we were told before, maybe what we grew up with, is good and give us like amazing foundation and amazing roots and amazing values. But at every point, they say that, all the really amazing rebbes, like all their Hasidim, like had dynasties of their own. Because if you really teach someone well, like they're gonna form their good foundations, and they're gonna really search and ask God and really get deep and find their own path and find what they need to do in this world. So that's kind of what being in nature and started learning about agriculture. It was really also the sense of like kind of a slightly different topic too. I started learning about all the kind of the ways that conventional agriculture is being done. With pesticides and synthetic fertilizers and monocropping, and kind of the way that it was growing was disconnected from the real growth cycle, and it was being very damaging to the environment. So we knew, in a certain sense, I was like, wow, we need to change something. I wanted to do something in the world. And I wanted to connect with something. So that's why I started learning more about organic farming, which is not using pesticides, not using fertilizers. It's only using compost, it's using natural techniques, putting the needs of the plant and looking at what the plant needs, not just in terms of nutrients, but in terms of soil ecology, in terms of relationships to every other species, to the birds, to the bugs, to other plants.
Right, like they're all kind of intertwined in this, it's like the same way that the ice caps or the forests, the Amazon forest, or places in the world, like without them, like it really affects the entire world, the whole atmosphere. So the same way, like on a certain farm, like on a piece of land, like having things or not having certain things will affect the way the whole system works together. So a part of permaculture and organic farming, like not even organic farming, but sustainable farming, is paying attention to those relationships and making sure that they're there. Like, so we have on our farm, we're growing super greens and medicinal herbs. And the super greens are chard and different kinds of kale, lettuces, mizuna, parsley, cilantro, like different herbs like za'atar and dill and what other stuff, like beets
just different things, green onions,
celery, like those like real superfoods. So that's what we're focusing on, because they are so filled with so many nutrients and they grow great here, and they have so many vitamins in them, like these leafy greens. So one thing is to like make people more healthy, make ourselves more healthy by growing these. And also the medicinal herbs is like lavender and sage, chamomile, calendula, like kind of all those types of things that medicine makers, and they can make creams out of this and that. So not only is it like health, but it's like very like spiritual to connect the food that we eat and the plants that we grow with our health, because it's like super healing. And by people connecting to their health and connecting to the earth, then it's like that's when this real spiritual connection starts to flourish, because people are connecting to themselves and to the earth on deeper levels. And the earth, I always think about gravity and stuff and how we're a part of the earth. We have a gravitational pull. We're connected, So just like the plants, like us and the plants are also an ecosystem working together. So we want to bring back that, revive that lost connection that, in today's age, we're really not connected to the food that we eat and to just earth in general. If I had mud on my boots and then we went somewhere for Shabbat to, a place that just to the city, and the girl asked me why do I have mud on my boots? And to me, that felt like such a silly question. But to her, it wasn't. I mean, I obviously didn't say anything to her like that to make her feel bad. But there is a lost sense of earth, dirt. And we really want to bring that connection back, like be a local place for community, and a place that people can come and groups can reconnect to themselves and to the earth.
Sounds very much that, the organic, they have organic farm is that I'm here for the plants rather than the plants are here for me. I need to make money. So, okay, I'll grow vegetables or wheat or whatever it is. So, okay, what's the easiest and quickest way to do it? So, throw in, all the different synthetic stuff and, whatever it is, because, I can make more money like that. So, it's here for me. But the organic way is more like I'm here for the plants. Like, what do they need? What would be the best way for them to grow? So that's really amazing. And going back, you said also you have, you had the twins and Corona started, and it was probably like a year and a half before Shmita, and you decide to go for organic, which I'm sure is much harder than regular. So, just nothing could stop you. Like, it's just, everything at once. It's not usually like you have one issue and then you kind of get back on track and then another thing comes up. But you had like everything that could possibly stop you happen at the same time, but you still decided to just like go all in.
Yeah.
Like, what was that? Like the decision and how, like, what made it happen?
Just who we are. Like, in a way, like this felt like how to just like hone it in and live our dream. Because we were like, if we don't start now, then when are we going to start? Like, we have 3 kids. We also have a 5-year-old daughter, Amuna. And if we don't start now, then we might not start for another 10 years, 15 years. Like, we don't know. You just get so wrapped up in life. And it was really intense and like so transformational because, like I said before, our challenges, your struggles become your strengths. And so,
yeah, it was kind of like, we had such a drive that we wanted to do it, and we didn't know how. We were living in Svat. We were like, oh, should we go find some land now? But, we don't feel ready, and we're not ready yet. And so it was kind of just building up to this. So really what happened was we came here. We were looking for a place where we could have a small garden. And so we had a small garden here for a year and a half, 2 years, something like that. Mm-hmm. I was like, wow, this is like going good. There's like plants coming up, like...
Ali realized he was a master grower.
So it was like, it's different, and it was great because coming from Svat and an apartment, we were here, I could go outside, you could pick your salad in the morning and
eat fresh and
come back inside and eat it. And that's like the lifestyle. And I guess about the thing before is that there's like, it was kind of all based too, there's like a Torah about the Mishkan, that every place that we went to in the desert, we had to build a Mishkan, and when we left, we took it down. But we didn't know how long we were there for. Hashem said, go there. We went there. We were there for maybe one day. It could have been one day. It could have been a few weeks. It could have been a few years. But we carried everything in there and we built it up. We set it up. So it's, even here, we have like bigger plans also after this. And we don't know how long we'll be here.
Right.
But we couldn't not do it.
Wait.
We knew that Shmita was coming. We couldn't stop. Obviously we learned from our past too. Last time before Shmita, we just planted a lot of trees, and then Shmita came and we didn't know what we could do to take care of them, if anything, and we needed to start, even though that we didn't know how long it was going to be, because any sort of experience that you have, you get experience and you learn a lot from it, and you're still creating something awesome, and that we can't wait.
Yeah.
Can't wait in this world.
The most we had to lose was failure, and that's a good thing. Like one of our, we have had a few business coaches or mentors throughout the years, and actually one was my friend, and she said, like, make mistakes and make them fast, like, because once you make them, like, you're gonna learn, you're gonna come better. But if you're scared to do anything because you're scared you're gonna fail, then you'll never get anywhere.
And we've had to break through a lot of fears. Like for us, it was like not easy, like, learning how to manage workers and manage the land and manage, I did 10 more, and a family, and I was like, I started 10 more things than I can deal with, and you learn how to take them out and even just to step back. It's like a big learning curve just to like, you want to put yourself all into something, but when you realize that it's too much for you, you got to learn how to step back a little bit and reassess and realign. And that's why Shmita is great. Also,
yeah, honestly. It's a blessing for us too in that kind of way, because it's giving us the time and space to really look at the land, like even pay attention to certain physical things, like where does the land slope, what parts get flooded more, where can we build dig trenches and make ponds to help the other parts of the land drain better, like just little things like that you wouldn't necessarily think of. Those are things that we pay attention to in permaculture.
What weeds are growing in certain areas, because
yeah.
those can mean a lack or a boost in certain nutrients and
Yeah.
Types of the families of the plants. So
yeah, it's really beautiful, actually, a beautiful experience, because it's like we're like in Shabbos, you know, and like you said before, how did you just like do it and keep going? It's like on Friday when you're tired, and we're all tired at the end of the week, you know. You don't have a choice. You're like, oh, Shabbos is coming. I gotta like cook, clean, do whatever, and you just somehow get the energy, even though you had no idea how you're gonna do it. So it's like the same thing, like doing it beforehand, and then you're in Shabbos. So now we're like in our year of Shabbos, and we're working really hard, you know, in so many other ways. Like Ellie has another job now. I'm working really hard on my art business, and thank God it's busy, and I'm teaching and stuff. And we're also trying to move forward on the farm too, like with business plans and this and that. We're
building infrastructure.
Yeah, we're building infrastructure because we want it to be also like a little retreat center that people can do meditation retreats, or groups can come, you know, youth and camp out for a night and learn and volunteer and build something, you know.
And get some mud on their boots.
Yeah. Exactly.
So back to
people
that.
want that, you know.
Yeah.
So we're building up the infrastructure for that this year. So
back to that topic, really the whole thing is like we want to bring people back to the land, and like you really see, like when you see something grow, you're like, wow, like Hashem just made that grow. Like there's growth in the ground, and
I remember a couple of weeks ago that was a little seed. Like what just happened here? Now it's
it's incredible. And then, you know, when you see it and when you eat it, and
also when you know, people like actually touch the earth or walk on the earth, there's a certain emotional response that happens, and you feel something inside of you like open up. So, and it's not always explainable, or sometimes it's faint, but it is there, whether people notice it or not. So it's like doing something, and we want that. To us, that feels like it's our part of bringing Mashiach is, you know, giving people the like an open door to this connection, to like grow in their spirituality. And
I can talk a little bit about the name Chavat Yar. It's kind of based on a Torah by Rabbi Nachman, and in this Torah he talks about how to avoid opposition, basically to create peace in this world. You need to be humble like the earth. You know, just as the people take a lot from the earth and the earth doesn't step back, people step on the earth all day. You need to be humble. You need to be humble when faced with challenges, when faced with opposition. And from that, being humble, you're creating peace. And when there's real peace in the land, then Hashem's light flows freely. And he says, really, this is in the month of Iyar. And the month of Iyar is when the medicinal plants are receiving their
highest potency.
Highest potency. They're reaching peak vitality during the month of Iyar. And when there's peace in the land, Hashem can really send healing powers through these plants, you know. And Iyar is also an acronym of Ani Hashem Rofecha, and Rabbi Nachman brings down that it's also an acronym for when our enemies will turn around and leave. And so this whole Torah is about really opening up, being humble like the earth, and allowing, making the vessels for Hashem's healing light to really fill this world.
That's why we call it Chavat
Yar. In short.
Yeah, it's so amazing that it's not just, oh, hey, what should we name it? Okay, let's give it a cool, catchy name.
It's like catchy too, right?
The whole thing is like also about connecting. So like the name as well, it's all connected, everything.
We wanted the land to be like a source of healing, and people to grow healing plants. So we're growing medicinal herbs for teas and for other medicinal applications, and just to grow people's food and medicine and have people be connected to it. And
And for them to know where it's coming from too.
Yeah.
Sorry, like to
Yeah.
know where
Yeah.
they're like people who we were selling to the neighboring moshavs, like for them to get something that's picked the day of, or for like a herbal medicine maker to really know where their calendula is coming from if they want to put in a cream. It makes a world of a difference. Like to us, quality is really important in life in general.
Was there anything when you started that you had to like already start dealing or have Shmita in consideration, or just like you started and we said when Shmita comes we'll deal with it then?
Well,
It was always in our minds.
it was in our minds. I guess
a little bit of both, I'd say.
Yeah, we had a plan and we started planting things, and
herbs, they grow bigger, so we had to get a lot of them in the ground so they could just do their thing and grow bigger. It's not like you have to replant them.
But we weren't able to plant everything before Shmita.
No
as
way.
far as that, we kind of had a whole plan, and I guess before we realized like don't plant too much before Shmita, because when Shmita comes, like you're not really going to be on top of it as much. You can't weed around the plants. You can't make sure they're doing well.
Were there any like challenges or any things that like you need to do to prepare before?
Yeah,
for sure.
We had this whole vision to get all the herbs in the ground before. Because okay, the herbs will take like 2 years to reach 2-3 years to reach peak growth. So planted before Shmita, and they'll grow during Shmita, and then after Shmita we'll have organic certification and be able to sell stuff. And it didn't really go as planned.
We did get a lot of herbs in, but
yeah, we got a lot in before, and we were still kind of we had a lot going on with the vegetables too. We built this whole greenhouse around this time last year, and to plant vegetables in there is to make it a shade house. We built a shade house, and we're going to plant vegetables in there so they'd be ready in the summer. And after that, still do all the Shmita preparations, and that everything kind of took longer. So by the time we got the vegetables in, it was like, well, like we're going to be able to sell them just for a few weeks before Rosh Hashanah.
It was a very challenging year in terms of like COVID also, because our kids were home a lot and we had the twins, and it's like, I don't know, by the end of the day, you're just like not seeing straight. Having twins is pretty intense. It's awesome, but sometimes they just make tornadoes around the house. And so, I like to be out there in the field with Ellie a lot, but I was inside, and we knew stuff had to come, so we were kind of dividing and conquering. He was out there, and I was inside. It was very difficult for both of us because we were both kind of taking care of this, like, me, these 3 kids. Like, obviously, Ellie's taking care of the kids too, but, and then he's out there taking care of this whole piece of farm, and there's so much to do for both of them. And while still trying to take care of ourselves and not really seeing family. So it was definitely very challenging. But, it was a challenging year for everybody.
It's been quite a journey over the past few months at Karen Hashvi's. With Shmita on the horizon, we spanned the land of Israel, reaching out to hundreds of farmers, urging them to commit themselves to leave their fields. With the promise of support, thousands of farmers pledged to lay down their tools and submit themselves to a higher calling. At the same time, fundraising efforts were launched across the globe for a call to partner with the heroic farmers. Klal Yisrael answered the call and came through like never before. And then, in the twilight hours of the new year, farmers on 363 settlements walked away from their fields. They did the impossible. They abandoned their land and gave up their livelihood. We reached a historic milestone. For the first time in almost 2,000 years, 51% of privately owned Jewish agricultural land is lying fallow. The achievement is unprecedented, but we're far from done. We raised enough for the farmers to commit, but it's not enough to get them through the full year. If we don't continually support the farmers, some may buckle under the burden. The sacrifice may become too large, too heavy, and they may not be able to pull through. the farmers still need our support. We gave them our word. We won't let them down.
You're saying before how everything's connected. It's not just, oh, there's one thing and there's another thing and there's this plant and the bird, like everything in nature and, halacha and Torah, like everything is really, creates this one big picture. So like, how do you see Shmita, and obviously these are the challenges, the nisim and, everything around that. Like, do you see it fit into like the big picture?
Yeah, 100%.
There's a lot to say on that.
For the land.
Yeah, it's, really like, okay, it was a traditional practice. It used to be to let the land rest, because when you aren't farming the land, the natural grasses are growing and bringing nutrients back up and returning it to the topsoil. So it was kind of like a natural practice to let the land rest. But even in the sense of like modern agriculture said, oh, we know what's right for the land, and even organic agriculture and sustainable agriculture a little bit, because we're trying to make the land as much like nature and be able to self-sustain as possible. But Shmita comes and it's a really great reminder that even though we might have a lot of yeda, a lot of knowledge, we don't really know what's right for the land.
Right.
And
it's not really ours.
It's not really ours. It's not ours to play with. It's not ours to profit from it. And even though I had that mindset going in to the farm, that plant husbandry. These plants are coexisting with us for thousands of years, and we're creating an environment for them. Even that, it didn't really turn into, but like having a farm and having a business, I started having to think about how much can I grow and where am I going to sell it. And Shmita is an amazing point to really connect us back to why we're doing this and what the source of that the land is not ours.
It gives you a breather.
It gives a breather. We're existing in this coexistence evolution of the land and of the plants and of the people. And it's time for us to step back and see all the brachas that are coming to us through the land, and also coming to us through not working the land.
Yeah, and it's also like, the same ways that we work all week, and then on Shabbat, like we give our bodies a rest, and we need it. We really do. So in the same way, it's like we're working the earth, and then it's just like giving it a rest, and it's having respect for it too. Like Hashem says this is what the earth needs, and this is His creation. So like we're doing that, and we see a great value in it. We think that like on a physical standpoint, it's going to do a lot better after having this rest and be able to naturally grow what it grows and just kind of like do its thing. So, so we think we see how it really makes a lot of sense. It's not just doing this thing and not knowing why we're doing it. We'll never fully know why certain things, but we like when you keep Shabbos, you see like the benefits of it and how amazing it is. So I think we think the same thing about Shmita.
Yeah, we didn't have any second guesses about Shmita. We said, okay, it's Shmita. Wow, it's going to be crazy. We're going to grow all this stuff, and then what are we going to do with it and that? And
you should show them some parsley. Like some of our stuff growing this year is like parsley leaves like this big. Chard leaves this big.
Yeah,
they're just growing from last year.
Yeah,
and it's free for people to take, and we're enjoying eating it. We're grateful that like it's still going and it's still doing good.
Yeah,
without doing any.
We had all these
anything. Yeah, I was just about to ask you if you experienced any nisim, but it sounds like anything around Shmita.
I mean, at the end of before when I was like we're talking about like the greenhouse and planting stuff, I thought a lot of the stuff would take a couple months to get ready, but after like 4 weeks, there was lettuces, there was kales, there was tons of stuff was coming up, and it was growing really, really fast. So fortunately, we got a few months of selling those vegetables before. And at a certain point, towards the end of the summer, stuff got a little hot and tired and buggy. And a lot of the stuff, we had a bed of kale and a few things that were just like, it's a goner, we're not going to touch it anymore, not anything. Just kind of left it. And
I think you cut it down, but
I even mowed it a little bit, but it didn't kill the plants. The plants were still alive. And also at the start of this year, we were like, what are we gonna eat? Everything was kind of done. We could start harvested for a few weeks, and at the beginning of the year, I was like, wow, like I wish I just cut everything down before and tarped it off, and so we didn't have to have so many weeds and everything, because it's just gonna get crazy in the greenhouse and all over the field. And once the rains started coming, the plants perked up and had new growth. And
there was a whole bed of kale that we were walking one day and we didn't even know it was there. Like, wow, like. And so now we like have so much kale and so much of all these things.
Stuff is flourishing on its own without us doing anything. And we're really grateful that the stuff that we're able to pick and share with people, it's growing, and it's you can feel it. You can feel it when you walk out on the land. You can feel that it's Shmita. You can feel that you can feel the energy, and even more too when if you're eating the food that's kedusha shvit,
you feel that kedusha.
You feel that kedusha, and you feel really present. And one of my big connections with kedusha is that, like, kedusha. Some people say it's far out. The Ishbitzer brings it. People say that the kedusha is far, like it means like far out. Your holy means far out. Like I can't touch it. It's too holy for me. I'm over here, and holiness is over there. But the Ishbitzer brings that being holy is really being here, and being here now, and being present. And so that's what I feel when we're connecting with the Shmita produce. Because it's different than a Siddur that always lasts, and a Sefer Torah that lasts and it has the Kedusha and you keep it. The Shemitah produce, it's only there from when you pick it until it rots on its own. So you have a very limited time.
And for 1 year only.
Yeah, and only for 1 year. So when you're eating this produce, you have to engage it in a Kedusha, and you have to be really there. And you have to be really focused on, wow, like Hashem blessed us with this. Hashem's given us nutrients, he's given us food, and you feel special. Special.
Yeah, it's like the same plant that you have during Shemitah, then all of a sudden, like after Rosh Hashanah, when it's not Shemitah anymore, like the plant all of a sudden technically is not Kedusha anymore. Like
unless it's trees, yeah.
Unless it's trees. But let's say, we're eating this chard from this plant, and it's the end of the Shemitah year, and we're eating it, and it's Kedusha, and then all of a sudden, like Shemitah's over, like the same plant, all of a sudden it has a different status.
It's not like a siddur is holy and it's holy. Like no matter, like even if a page rips out, it's not like, oh, now it's not part of the siddur, so it's not holy. Like no, it's still holy. You need to put it in Geniza.
Yeah.
But like the plant, it's like it's the exact same plant.
I also something else just popped into my head, because like now that like we're in Adar, and Adar's the last month of the year, we're kind of in this birthing process. We're like in the canal before we're like in Nisan, like rebirth again. So in the same way, it kind of feels like that's what Shemitah is in Shabbat, because it's the end of the cycle before we're kind of like starting a new cycle, and it's like really bringing it all in and reflecting and like understanding and giving it space to really connect to it. So it's like interesting. Now we're sitting here in Adar and talking about it,
Yeah, Chodesh Tov.
It's really cool.
Yeah, Chodesh Tov.
Yeah.
We're extra.
And you have a double Adar this year.
I know.
Even better, yeah.
But this morning we were talking about how when there's two Adars, we don't always fully feel it in Adar Aleph, but the second Adar bet hits, like I just like felt this joy. I really felt it, like that I had like tears coming, because it was so beautiful. And now it's time to heal through joy, like this month. So it's nice to be sitting here with you guys.
First, just in general, in the Moshav here, like how many people are keeping Shemitah, and also if you would have the opportunity to talk to someone who isn't keeping Shemitah today, what would you tell him to try to, convince him to keep Shemitah?
Surrender and trust, and that was kind of a big thing for us, because when everything like gets, when you have big dreams, usually what happens is like you have dreams and you make steps and stuff starts to kind of fall into place, hopefully. And then all of a sudden
you get hit with your first challenge.
You get hit with a challenge, or everything's just too big and you can't juggle everything. And so at that point with the farm too, we had to learn how to just surrender We said, okay, we started something and something's happening. And then Shmita comes and it's like, you just, what was the saying? Like, you just got to sometimes you just have to get out of the way. Hashem wants something for you. And if you're a farmer and if you're a farmer and you're growing and you want to do something good for the land of Israel, and you want to do something good for the agriculture in the state of Israel and the kedusha of the land, it's to surrender a little bit, and it's very tough to stop everything and having to think about, how are you going to make money this year? How are we going to eat this year? What's going to happen? And just say, sometimes we have to get out of the way.
So we can, it's like you need to get out of the way so you can meet the real you, So that's what the kind of surrender is all about. Just like letting go and riding the waves of life and trusting that Hashem has a great plan for you. And if something didn't work out, something better is coming. And when we live that way, it's such a better feeling. There's less resistance and good things flow to us. And there's been so much shefa and so much support and so much beauty and growth. Of course, it's been super emotional, but we really try to practice this idea of surrender and letting go. It's all like having emunah, when we have emunah, everything just flows. And when it's we're living in gratitude versus living in fear or, complaining or not having things in perspective. So it really puts things in perspective. And I think I would tell someone else who asking for advice, let's say it was another farmer about, whether or not they should keep Shmita. I would say do you want Mashiach to come? Because in a way, Mashiach is not everyone's thinking about every move that they do. Is this going to bring Mashiach? And we want to help people get into that mindset because we're so close. It's really at our fingertips. And so we think about is this going to help bring Mashiach? And if the answer is yes, then we're doing it. There's no question about it, because what are we essentially here to do? So I would kind of say something along those lines.
And what is it now that we're already halfway through Shmita? So how are you getting through the year? With money in the house, and I'm sure also just keeping the whole farm. I don't know if there's rent and insurance and all these stuff, and you just built a business. It's not like the business is you have to save up money and you just put in all the money but now you need to wait another full year to see the income. So how are things happening?
That's our joke. That's the funny thing, because people always say how are you living? And to tell you the truth, we're living in a foreign country. We have 3 young kids. We moved to a place. We started a new
our parents aren't here.
We're 2 business independent business. Yeah, independent business. It was already a challenge for us to make money, and thank God, we're putting in the real stepping stones to and foundations for our businesses to grow, and they are. But so, Ellie's working another job now. I'm working on the art business. For 2 months, he helped me with the art business and got a lot of stuff organized. So that's better. But we got a grant. And that's how we were able to build the greenhouse. And all the money we made just went back into the business. So it's a challenge anyway. The first few years you start something.
Yeah.
So
we only talk from experience, because we've been through the point of almost giving up. So many times, and that so many challenges, and the whole field is flooded. I'm losing a quarter of the crops. I'm doing this. We can't sell any chard today. Grasshoppers ate all of it. Or something like that.
Or the celery turned bitter because
we didn't harvest it
fast enough, and it started flowering. There's so many challenges in general.
So, so this year it's definitely difficult, and we're kind of always at this flexible point of, okay, what are we going to do now? Now what? Now what's next? What's next? What are we going to do? How are we going to do this? So, I took a job by also a friend who's on the Moshav, a local artist, doing making stained glass windows.
It's really cool.
And helping Abby a lot with her art business also, because her art business is also about inspiration, and it's one we can share the light in this world, and I really believe in her art too.
Really?
So we want to be able to take it to the next level. You know, Abby helped me a lot with the farm last year, and so this is my year to help her a little bit more.
This is my year.
This is her year to help her a little bit more with her work. And there's also stuff to be done on the land. Our time is a little limited now, but we're starting to bring volunteers to build infrastructure, to build
set up the space.
build up herb drying space, a compost toilet, a space, water, like drinking water and everything, so people are able to really come there and also see Shmita and see a farm that's observing Shmita, and after that just kind of be able to create a place that's for healing, and that people can come and
be who they are
and be in nature, and if they have a project to go and do it. So we're still working, we're still very much involved, and it's really tough. I mean, that was at a certain point this year, it was like wow, like we can't just like we need to find other work, we need to make money, we need to support our family. You know, we tried, like the farm, it didn't really make so much the money last year. We had a lot of expenses, and we're still in debt from it a little bit, but thank God, like we actually see that people want to see what's going to happen.
Yeah, people
are donating money
for, I mean, we're not using for living expenses. It's all like in a PayPal account for farm materials and infrastructure. And we were trying to raise money for also like a mini small scale tractor, so we can, I mean, we're a no-till farm, but like, so we can kind of just like mow certain areas, be able to lift things, stuff like that, dig if we want. Yeah. So that will really help us move to the next level, but they're very expensive, like more than you would think. So, but people have been like, you know, donating, and we're like, wow, people really do.
They believe in our dream.
It's great what we're doing, and that's honestly what keeps us going. Because, you know, you can go either way. Everyone tells you what you're doing is wrong. Like either you're like, I'll show them, like you can kind of use that energy, or like people are really supporting you. And so we have that full support, and it feels really great, and it's empowering, and you know, we actually feel very honored and privileged to perform this mitzvah.
Oh, we're also very supportive of Karen Hashvit, and that one, they gave us a lot of Chizuk to engage in the mitzvah of Shmita. I mean, it wasn't a question for us before, but they gave us a lot of support of having a whole organization that's helping farmers through this time.
They gave us a little, stipend.
They helped us financially, and they helped us financially, and are just helping us with support and being able just to talk about the farm and talk about what's going on. Still makes us feel like we're moving forward. Yeah, because it, like, in a weird way, we never thought, you know, that we'd get so much publicity through Shmita. Like, it wasn't like a thought, and you know, it's you know, getting our farm out there into the world and letting people know what we're doing and the space that we're creating. And even if we move somewhere else, it's still gonna be there because it's like with us and our thing. But what I was saying before was that it's such a small percentage of people. It's not, and I said this the other night at I don't know if you were at the Karen Hashvit, was that it's not just Jewish farmers. It's Jewish farmers living in Israel only can perform this mitzvah. It's like, so it's a very small amount of people that, and there's less and less farmers these days actually. It's a very small amount of people that are given the opportunity to perform this mitzvah. So it's like, it feels really empowering and makes us feel like unique and special that we're part of this small niche and small family of farmers, like really doing it. And at the event the other night, at the Karen Hashvit event, there was over 100 farmers' wives there who were keeping Shmita. I think this year is the first Shmita that more farmers are keeping it versus not.
There's over 50% of, it's basically the way they calculate is the amount of land, because you could have, let's say there's a farmer who has 22,000 dunam of land, and then there's farmers who have like 10 dunam. So 10 dunam versus 22,000 dunam. So basically the way they calculate it is based on the amount of land that is resting, and if it's over 50%, something like 51 or 52% that is resting. I mean, probably the first time since like 2,000 years ago that the Jews were went into Gullus, that over 50% of the land of the agricultural Jewish-owned land.
She said,
in
private
Israel.
owned. So that's So it's like it's incredible that because they say there was always growing up. You've heard when everyone keeps Shabbos, Mashiach's going to come. So like in a way, that's why so many people think it's so important to do Shmita, because actually I think it was the Vilna Gaon, I learned this the other night, said that the end of the 7th year during Shmita, like that's when Mashiach's going to come. So so it's like, please Hashem.
It definitely is a really special mitzvah. Like, first of all, like you mentioned, there's like such a small amount of people who actually have this unique opportunity to keep the mitzvah. And also it's very interesting to me how it's not only that like any farmer you ask who keeps Shmita, like he has incredible stories of Nisim that happen, and like just can't explain it, how they get through the year and how the year before and the year after just things grow so much more and better than usual. But it's also like, on the other hand, farmers who don't keep Shmita, there's so many stories that their stuff got damaged. It's like, not only, there was the famous one, the bananas up north. Basically what happened, there was, bananas are near Tveria, is very great land to grow bananas. And there was, some of them keeping Shmita, some of them not. And one night there was a crazy storm. It was really cold, and you put a banana in the freezer, it turns brown. Mm-hmm. So that's basically what happened to all of these banana fields. They just froze, everything turned brown. The farmer who was keeping Shmita, bright yellow bananas. And literally there's a path, one side brown bananas, one side bright yellow bananas. Like it's so, and there's many stories. It was like different fires that happened, and then like the fire just happened to stop right before, like right when it got to the farm that was keeping Shmita. And there was also, many years ago with the locusts, that was just going from, moshav to moshav and just eating up all the crops and everything. Then it just like skipped. I think it was Komias. This was like one of the first Shmitas, like many decades ago, that like Komias was basically the only place that was keeping Shmita. Wow. And it just kind of like skipped over Komias and kept on going. Like, it's like there's so many, also Nisim to who keeps Shmita, but also who doesn't keep Shmita. Like, it's like you see it, it's so clear. Yeah. It's like, I think like more than probably almost any other mitzvah. Like, I can't think of another mitzvah. Like, it's just so clear to see people who keep versus people who don't keep. Like, the way it's like, it really is a very, very special mitzvah. Wow. And you mentioned this with like Karen and Shvi. Like, did they reach out to you? Did you reach out to them? Like, how that all works? And
so it was actually great because I met a friend here who lives in a neighboring moshav, and he also comes from an agricultural family, and he's like, he knew I told him I started a farm, and he said, are you in touch with Karen Ashvit, or help with Shmita? I was like, I have no idea what's going on. And he put us, he sent me a number. And I called, and someone came out to the farm, and we had a very nice discussion and showing him the land, and he signed us up, and
we got a free sign.
And we got some financial support. So I don't think he even knows how big of a mitzvah he did just by telling us that there's this organization that helps people, because we didn't really know. First of all, we came to this moshav. It's completely Israeli moshav. Our Hebrew's not the best. And it was definitely a challenge of just like not knowing anyone, not having enough resources, not really knowing what to do, not knowing the community. And so we're really, really grateful for the people who have helped us. And,
like emotionally too, and that's huge.
Yeah.
Because it's like, kind of like all alone, and they have like...
They're like rooting on the side, So it feels good. It keeps you going,
Karen Ashvit and
and all the people.
Everyone's rooting for us. So it's
we have, I mean, probably, thousands of people worldwide who are donating and helping and supporting, like, just to know that, people all over the world are behind you and supporting you. That must be a huge help.
Yeah.
I'll say too that we're thinking of all of Israel too, of the land of Israel, all the people who live here, and also all the Jews that are outside of Israel, that that they should also feel like that they're keeping Shmita. Just by, not even if they don't have land, not even if they don't have a potted plant in their house or on their merpeset, they should also feel like that they're, just by kind of thinking about us and saying that, oh wow, there's some people here in Israel keeping Shmita, not even the money, not even anything. We're feeling immense support from that. Because 5 years ago, when we talked about our dreams, everyone said, "You're crazy." Everyone, they said, "You guys need to focus. You need to go to school. You need to do things." And we kept dreaming, and
we kept going.
And just
back then, it was a will show them. Now it's the opposite. Now it's
the opposite.
The feeling supported.
Feeling supported. So just everyone that's out there that even just watches this video or watches something to do with Karen Ashvit, we feel the good energy, and we're really, really grateful for that.
So, thank you. Thank you for bringing this out into the world, because also it's a form of education. That's what Karen Ashvit is also doing, because growing up in America, I mean, I grew up in a very Zionistic home, B'nai Akiva. So, I knew about stuff in Israel, or it was like after high school, you go to Israel, So I had that connection already. But even so, it's like when you think about keeping Shmita, like growing up, you might think that's something they did in the ancient day. Like people don't really do that these days. And that's what a lot of people actually think. So people are being really educated that no, this is a real thing. It's not just something that our ancestors maybe did.
It's possible.
It's possible, and it's real, and it's really going on. It's not just thinking oh, people in robes are doing that or something,
Yeah, farming in general, it's you're learning Tanakh, you're learning Mishnah, so you hear about these, you hear about a bunch of stuff, Sapir, all this stuff about if an animal hits your animal, I don't have any animals, what I've been talking about here, so it's not, it's Torah, what we could learn from it and everything.
Yeah.
And especially even in America, so even the mitzvah of Shmita, even for the people who are involved a little bit in agriculture and do, a little bit, they don't have the mitzvah of Shmita. So even the small amount of people who do more live and much more know about this type of stuff, Shmita is even less because they're not there, and it's also only once in 7 years. It's not
for real.
It's not every.
It seems foreign. And someone was also telling me the other day that, specifically in Israel, I know, sure, Arabs have a lot of jobs, but also Jews are working a lot of jobs that that they wouldn't work in America, the farmers, the garbage people, the construction, these are all Jews working, these jobs. And, in America, it's not necessarily like that. It's we are the people making this country together. We're doing all the jobs that need to get done,
So just to finish off, I would say one last thing, maybe if you would, you have the opportunity to tell someone who doesn't have this mitzvah, but what would you just tell them and share with them, something that you learn and gain and feel from the mitzvah of Shmita that you think that you could only gain from actually keeping Shmita?
I just think that, that when you, taking a step back, right? When you take a step back, you can
take 2 steps forward. Is that what you're going to say?
No, but that's good. When you take a step back, you really can understand things in a bigger picture and in a bigger light. And
you lift the veil.
You lift the veil. A lot of times we think that we know what's right for us and for our lives. And when we take a step back from thinking that we know what to do, when we know what to do with the land, we really open up a space for Hashem's chesed. You open space up in your heart for Hashem to send mercy and Hashem to send light. And just, I would tell other people, listen, you do what's right for you. You're connecting to Hashem. You're looking for your right path. And for us, this is what's worked. We knew that we didn't have a question, that this was right for the land, and it was right for us as farmers, and it was right for us as a society in general to take a step back, to share the resources. A big part of Shmita is about sharing.
Yeah.
Everything is hefker, and that we're meant to share. We're meant to help other people. We're meant to help those that don't have as many resources as us. So take a step back, think about what you can do for someone else, and just know that the more that you give, the more you've got to give. You keep on giving, Hashem's going to send you more light to do what you need to do in this world.
And that, through such a powerful mitzvah, and like, if it's someone also we're talking to that already keeps mitzvahs and they understand the idea of like gaining connection, feeling closer to Hashem through doing mitzvahs. So, through doing this mitzvah, I've never felt closer to Hashem. And, every year it just keeps feeling more like that because that's the path we're on. But I really feel that particularly keeping Shmita has like lifted the veil in so many ways because, we all walk around with visors. And even if I think my veil is lifted, there's always more filters that I need to lift through and wake up, So in a sense, like we're listening, we're able to listen and we're able to slow down and wake up and see what's really real and what the truth is.
Yeah. Beautiful. Amazing. So if we could just, would love if you could give me and all the listeners a bracha.
Yeah, so I want to give you, and everyone here, all Klal Yisrael, and the whole world, that we should learn how to step back, and we should open ourselves up and know that Hashem's He's really trying to send us so much light and so much clarity in what path to take and what to do and how to be ourselves in this world and how to bring Mashiach in this world. So I really just bless everyone that you grow really deep. You grow really deep to your soul. You grow really deep to the earth, to your tafkid in this world. And trust that Hashem's going to show you your tafkid and how you can be a little Mashiach, how you can bring Mashiach in this world. So I want to bless everyone that just by stepping back and by reconnecting and refocusing, we're able to make that space for Hashem to show us the light.
Right. And I want to add to that bracha that light should shine so bright within us all that it should always be there and we should always have access to it. And it should be so bright that anyone we come in contact with this light feels it too, that we can share our light with the world and that, we can really just have compassion on ourselves and on others, to stop seeking for acceptance from the rest of the world, and at the same time stop judging other people. That we should just radiate love and compassion and Torah and Chesed.
Always look for the good points.
Yeah, it's always
yourself
see
and
the
to
good
other
points.
people, and you'll do that also. Is keep lifting other people up too.
Yeah. And just to be in an inspired state. We should all be blessed to be in an inspired state and be a source of inspiration for ourselves and others. And because, that inspiration is the drive to make change. So, it's really important that we all stay inspired and, just be joyous, have peace in our hearts and our homes.
Amen. Well, Thank you very, very much for your time.
Thank you.
Really appreciate it. Thank you for inspiring us. Hope you have much tzlacha with your business and with everything around.
Thank you. You too. We're very impressed, that you guys are doing this podcast, and we think it's awesome, and you should just have so much tzlacha with it.
Amen. Amen. Thank you. If you enjoyed today's episode, don't forget to subscribe. If you would like to help us spread the word, give this video a thumbs up and a 5-star review. Also, don't forget to ask your friends to subscribe as well. If you would like to partner with us and sponsor an episode, send an email to info@JFoundations.com. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. Have a wonderful day. We will see you in the next video.